F3 Nation, it's Tommy Boy here. Listen, if you're like me, you would have thought that the potential for Zoom to fulfill a need in F3 had come and gone. However, this week, Italian Job and I sit down with two men from opposite ends of the country that have taken the Zoom technology, reapplied it, and are fulfilling needs across their region and far beyond. Now that is stuff worth trying. Looking good, Italian Job.
I'm feeling good, Tommy Boy. How are you, brother?
Dude, I'm glad it's Friday. I feel like although I'm not at the BRR, which is being run right now, I feel like I'm crawling across that finish line. Looking forward to a big evening. 2.0 somehow turned 18 today. Don't know what happened the last several years of my life. We have a big weekend full of celebrations, so all good stuff. And then something new for September 11th Memorial CSOP event on Monday. To honor the lives lost, we're going to do a collective burpee fest around a really pretty amazing statue that lives downtown here in Greensboro. That was designed from 2 tons of steel from the World Trade Center. So
very cool.
Yeah, something to really just kind of remind us what's important. So
yeah, man.
That being said, how about you, brother?
Hey, man, I have no complaints other than when you think about it, ebbs and flows and peaks and valleys. It does feel like you and I have been running through a valley lately, talking about the BRR. But good news. I mean, we've got a good subject to talk about today. And I want to point this out. The guys who only audibly listen to the podcast will not see this, but the guys who tune in to YouTube will see it. One of these things is not like the other. There are 3 men on this call who are just dapper, just the high and tight haircuts and and a little bit of facial hair. I mean, you guys are looking like triplets, and then I'm just like the ugly duckling on the back burner. But that's just a teaser for the guys who are only listening. Go on YouTube and take a look at the guys today that we have on the call. Tommy Boy, I'm not going to set it up any better than that. So what are we talking about today, and who are we talking to?
Well, I feel like we're talking to Mr. Clean Stunt Doubles, but and
or triples.
yeah. There was this little thing that happened a few years ago. You may or may not remember. It was called, quote me on this, the coronavirus.
I do recall. Yeah,
it was a blip on the radar, right? And like anything, good and bad things stemmed from it. And today we're talking about a great thing that came out of it, and is still rocking and rolling. And that is the ability to connect from around the globe with PAX that you never met, may never meet in person, but can do great things alongside thanks to technology. So let's dive into it. We're going to bring on from the Puget Sound region, Moose Jaw. Moose Jaw, give us the name of Rama and how'd you get stuck with that handle?
This is Paul Cooley. I'm 47. My handle is Moose Jaw, and long time ago, November 4th, I could remember because it was a day before the time change in 2018. I showed up at a workout at Mount Doom here in the Puget Sound area, and they found out I was Canadian, and it turns out that that they remember this town called Moose Jaw, which was as close to where I grew up as Seattle is to LA. So it was perfect. And it took a little getting used to, but I'm used to it now. So
outstanding. It's either that or nowadays the made up town of Letterkenny, right? So it could have gone a lot of different ways. And then from the opposite side of the United States, we got Gazuntite checking in from Buffalo. Gazuntite, same spiel, man. Name Rama. How'd you come up with the name?
All right. My name is Rob Taylor. I'm 37. The name is Gazuntite. I got my start 6 years ago in October in Charleston, South Carolina. One of the guys who got recruited by the Art of Manliness podcast on F3. And, you look on the Nation website, it's like, oh, there's a boot camp right in my neighborhood 5 minutes from me. And, I work in ear, nose, and throat surgery. And so, thankfully, booger picker did not stick. But, Gazuntite seemed to work. And I think I was sniffling that day. If you've ever been in the Southeast, a lot of, allergens in the air.
Yeah, the greening, as we call it, right? So, yeah.
Hey,
Outstanding. Well,
Gazuntite, you might be the only person who's ever moved from South Carolina to Buffalo. It seems like it's the other way around, Buffalo to South Carolina. So somehow you went the opposite direction, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
they're
got it
glad to
all
have you up
wrong.
there.
So you guys got to set me straight.
Awesome.
you came to the wrong place, my friend. Well, listen, it was very as I said before we hit record, fortuitous that you guys reached out. Had just been having conversations both locally here in Greensboro and from afar via Slack, guys inquiring if other regions were still leveraging technology like Zoom to connect, and working virtually with other guys to have impact. And then lo and behold, after I didn't have an answer, you guys provided an answer. So really what we want to do today is just kind of share that information and let you guys take it away. I guess if I had a question to ask, it would be, can you guys tell us what you're doing leveraging this tech and how you've seen success?
Yeah, I could start if you'll let me. Uh, we're up here in the Puget Sound area using Zoom, and we actually have two threads. It started, like you said, back in COVID times, March timeframe. Several different people started kind of independently, and then we came together on Zoom, tried a few different ways to go about it. Had this thing called the Matrix, aptly named, where we get together in the morning and rock and run and stuff like that. But then move towards a virtual boot camp, and we actually run 5 of those a week. And then the other 2 days, we do virtual book clubs. So there's one on Q Source. I don't know if you guys have heard of that book yet. You should check it out. Or we're doing other leadership books on Sundays. So that's sort of a synopsis of what's going on in the Puget Sound. And then Gesundheit, tell us some more on your end.
All right, so I'm going to go in typical Gazuntite fashion and not necessarily answer the question, but for those guys who just kind of automatically clicked over to this podcast, I'm going to tell you that there's going to be some stuff in here that, even if you have no interest in ever getting involved with virtual F3 workouts, I think there's some things you're going to be able to take from this for your regions, your in-person workouts, because I know that by being involved in this, it's really helped me to refine the way I do things, like even when we're doing a in-person boot camp here in Buffalo. One thing I want to start with before I even answer that question is I was not a believer in Zoom, when COVID first hit. Somebody mentioned that people were doing that, and I was like, not interested.
Right there with you.
We had our like black ops, groups in Charleston that were going, and we kept our distance and, didn't get too close, etc. And, that's what we did. And it was great. And it wasn't until I came up to Buffalo and I ran into a guy named Runner Up, who's from Buffalo, but operating out of Pittsburgh at this point, who said, hey, Gazuntite, try a virtual F3. And once again, I was like, no, thank you. Not interested. That sounds terrible. And, by circumstance, one day I logged on Tuesday morning and I learned that, the guys who are coming out to this are good guys. We have like 5 or 6 non-tons of regions who are coming out. So, I was just like kind of blown away. Like the quality of the workouts was good. The quality of the mumble chatter was good. And, for someone like myself who, has been trying to get the region started in Buffalo and, we've struggled to grow, honestly, it's really nice to come into the Zoom gloom because, it's like, it's there. People are showing up. You don't have to have a high cost entry. You don't have to like get burnt out, when you're trying to grow a region that's really struggling. And so it was really refreshing for me. And, I'd like to say that the guys who are there are guys who I call friends, guys who I've met in person since, who like, you would be surprised, but you get to know these guys. So to answer your question, what am I doing with Zoom up here in the Northeast? We have workouts Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, typically in the morning. There's also a Q Source on Tuesdays from 7 to 8 a.m. Or sorry, not Q Source, Bible study, 7 to 8 a.m. They typically go through a chapter, a lot of personal reflection. And then we're also doing a virtual book club on Thursdays from 6:30 to 7, where we go through something in personal development or more of a nonfiction, motivational type book, and we're going through a chapter or two a week, alternating cues.
So what it sounds like to me is it's not just a first F experience. We're talking second and third F. So it's not just a tripod and slapping your phone up for a boot camp in the garage or in the driveway. But it also includes the second F opportunities, conversations around the book, third F conversations about faith studies and that sort of thing. So it's not, so the guys listening, it's not just setting up a tripod and working out. That's part of it. It's all three Fs. Is that a correct assessment?
Yeah, I that's actually what I would highlight as one of the things. I'm actually going to rewind just a sec. I forgot to call out our good buddy Pure Lead, who's running like
Yes.
F3 flow, and I certainly am remiss because I haven't shown up there, and he's invited me about 100 times, and I'm sorry, Pure Lead. But that aside, the other piece is this tends to be tighter in the mumble chatter, in that it's a community of people who come together very often. And I love being in person, that boot camp as well, and there's like jovialness there, but it gets a level deeper, a little level more connected with these guys, where like even this last week we are talking about our developing children, and what's going on in their soccer lives, and I don't know that you get that in the same way when you're in the gloom, doing Merkins next to another guy, that you can't quite do that match. So there's a community connection that really draws me back and is helpful there. Gazuntite, what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a number of areas that I think are a benefit with the Zoom Gloom. So, I mean, clearly for those regions who are smaller and guys want to get out there, but you're getting low numbers and guys are getting burnout. I think it's a really easy access point to stay connected with F3. A lot of guys, they move to new areas of the country and they're like disconnected from F3, and that's hard. We got a guy Blanks in Rochester, and he was driving an hour down to Buffalo to do boot camp with us. And I was like, man, you got to get on the Zoom. And so he's been doing Zoom multiple days a week, and it's much more sustainable for him. He's connected with the group. He's, I think, shown up to some of the Puget Sound things.
Yeah. He started with us with the Q source a few months ago, and has been adding a lot of value in there. So great.
He stayed connected after he was in Katy, Texas before all this. I think especially for the northern regions, it can be difficult, especially during the winter months. So we had something called a bomb cyclone around Christmas last year, dumped, I think, like 5 feet of snow on Buffalo. We did not work out outside. There were driving bans, but we got together on Zoom, and that was useful for us. And for those people who just, for whatever reason, their morning schedule doesn't allow them to travel to a nearby AO, or they got to be up helping their kids get up, and the workout's not early enough, or they're disconnected. It's just another access point, for F3.
Most you used the word value, and I appreciate that a lot too, because I think it's easy, and I'm certainly guilty of this, of having done I can count on one hand how many Zoom workouts I have posted to, right? And I'm that guy that's like, just get me back outside. I want to find a way to get back outside, and I've obviously missed some opportunities to build value into this tool, which we know as Zoom and things like it, right? I love the idea of being able to stay connected when you're separate, being able to reach guys who can't get to you physically. One of the people through my line of work, I work with a lot of adults living with intellectual developmental disabilities, and they love F3. They love the camaraderie. They love hearing stories. We have a guy that is a huge Italian Job fan, and he wants to consume as much F3 as he possibly can. And so, every other week I'm out there on Fridays early with him working out, and but he just can't get enough. And so things like this provide opportunities for people of all abilities, for men of all abilities, to get together and stay sharp, whether it's through a workout, if you will, or a book study. Are you guys seeing that? I mean, it sounds like you are seeing that. Are you seeing other opportunities as well that have kind of surprised you with, like, man, we didn't even think about this when we pulled the trigger on it?
There's a couple of things that are a surprise. The first is, as regions get planted, those guys are planting a shovel and they're by themselves. And maybe this happens with Gazuntite. They're looking for something that is a community that can still show up. But if there's nobody who makes it that workout, Anaheim Robocall joined us for a good season as he planted that region, and now it's taken off. And he's so busy in a good way that he can't be on Zoom because he's got people showing up at multiple AOs. The other thing is, and this is a little adventure we took during the pandemic times. We went on a 77-day road trip into Utah from Seattle, and every day I could dial in from a different location. And basically it was like I was at home, but away all at the same time. And so the rest of my family kind of got lonely for their friends, but I actually, was living a different experience where my friends were, out there, early morning, working out, doing Merkins and, burpees or whatever else that the Q was leading.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to comment on, and I'm going to put Tommy Boy and Taylor Job on the spot here. I think that downrange experience is phenomenal. So let's say you're at a place where there's no F3. What are you going to do? You're going to, be on vacation, eating good food, kind of getting away from that, first F that, we all hold dear in our lives. That's the perfect opportunity to message me or message Moose Jaw or somebody else involved and say, I want to queue on this day. Have some accountability, and if you're going to queue, like, if you don't have a coupon, we can do a bunch of Merkins and burpees and core work and, everything else. We typically do use coupons, just because that's a big part of F3. We're trying to get strong, so most guys have cinder blocks at the house. Some guys have smaller cinder blocks. Some guys use dumbbells, modify as necessary. So I do recommend, if you are downrange, like, it's a good opportunity to get your VQ on Zoom. It's different. Yeah. So I feel like you can even make the workouts harder than you would expect, because a lot of times when you're, in live boot camp, there's some downtime. You're picking up the 6, you're mumble chattering. You do those things, on the Zoom too, but it's you can really make it high intensity. The one thing I'll mention, watch your camera angles. Hello dollies can be dangerous depending on the shorts that you're wearing. So guys, it's just one of those things you have to troubleshoot. You got to log on early. You got to make sure that your connection's going to be good. But we're all used to all this, so it's not like you're working this stuff out. I mean, if the connection's bad, another Pax is going to step up and say, hey, I'm going to have to lead us through this until, Gazuntite's connection kind of gets where it needs to be.
So got a question based on what you guys are saying. So for a guy who's hearing this for the first time, maybe for whatever reason, he's just not feeling like getting out into the gloom, but he still wants to get the camaraderie and still wants to get the workout. What does a man need to join in? Just, what does he need? Obviously, he's going to need a phone or a tablet of some sort where he can see the video and hear the audio. But you've mentioned coupons. What does the FNG to see you in the Zoom workout, what does he need for his first workout with you guys?
Go ahead, Gazuntite. I started the last few. Take it away.
As stated, I mean, we typically use coupons, but if you don't have one, modify as necessary. And so, positive mental attitude and good connection is useful. I do think it's nice if you're using a phone. You can get like those selfie stick tripods. It just makes it better. I tend to use a laptop. I like to see your face. I want to know what's going on. If I'm like queuing, I want to get a sense of like, oh, am I like, not doing what I should be doing, making it too hard or too easy. I want to see, the pain on your faces, but not too much pain maybe, so you're not coming back. So I do think a laptop's a better experience.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna like start from another angle. I actually end up just using the dial-in number and headphones that you see on me right now, and my phone on my arm. And I actually like the freedom of that perspective. So it's audio only, and that's certainly possible. But like as an FNG in Zoom, having sort of a sense of that, what is everybody else doing until you get your legs under you makes sense. I think it's that's you really just need to jump in the F3 Nation Slack and go into virtual workouts, and you really just need that Zoom link and jump in, and we're going to help you out. Like, and you just need that phone and a way to talk to us. And a lot of people, maybe your first workout isn't tuned, and you're gonna just like the first time you showed up at a real workout, I showed up with a water bottle. Like, I don't know, what am I gonna do with that, right? Like, so and then we'll keep on going. So.
Well, I will tell you, I made the mistake the first time I queued a Zoom workout. I had a timing mechanism, which was, for me, it was circle the block. But for everyone else, it's like, hey, I'll be back in 2 minutes. So everybody go for 2 minutes. And then as I got away from my phone that was on a tripod, my earphones cut out. So I had no idea what was going on for 2 minutes until I got back and I saw everyone was just kind of waiting on me because I wasn't there to say the next thing. So that was a little learning experience that I had, so maybe stay where you're connected to the mobile device so you can continue to hear and maybe see. Tommy Boy, I saw you come off mute.
Well, yeah, for what it's worth, I shattered a ceiling fan with a coupon. So there's also that if you're working low and tight in a space, always good to be outdoors, rain or shine, heat or cold, right?
There's a real opportunity. I was interrupting you.
No, go for it.
I think queuing in virtual is a different beast, and as you get used to it, you recognize it's got a different sort of flavor of queuing, and you have to be conscious of what the other person is imagining you saying, and it's a different challenge, and I think actually one that grows us as well. After years of doing it, you find a bunch of things that are easy to do in virtual and hard to do and communicate. And maybe you get to be a better storyteller and story-er, whatever a story-er is. But anyways.
Those raconteurs, right? Yeah, you're right though. I mean, communication's key, and there's all sorts of ways that we communicate, spoken and unspoken, and they all matter. So, well, let's do this. The podcast is called Stuff Worth Trying. Why don't you guys give us your view of this technology that I think a majority of guys have kind of written off as a thing of the past, or something that doesn't contribute to getting and or staying sharp. Why is this stuff worth trying?
Yeah, so I would say my take-home points are, for the downrange packs, this is perfect. For the packs who is a respect packs or coming back from IR, this is a valuable tool. For regions who are trying to grow themselves through second and third F, I think this is easier to get like a virtual book club, virtual key source, or virtual Bible study going. A lot of us are have families, we're busy, life is busy. And so this provides a nice tool for us to, work that into our lives. I think especially those northern regions that lose packs during the winter. I know it's a challenge here in Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Minnesota. It's hard to get guys out. So this is another opportunity for those guys to stay connected.
Yeah, just to emphasize my perspective, there's just like a low commute. So, another way to get it done, get in that first F without, a 20-minute drive. And you've got those early morning meetings or something else that's going on, and you can adapt. I actually think you can modify up and down without either intimidation or feeling, from IR. You're not ready to go out there, but you can easily modify down and just get a few jogs in and start back up and get comfortable with being at a boot camp and get better that way. And then I think it needs to be emphasized. The actual second F of virtual is a level up. I think that you really can build community in a real way with these guys, and sort of my heart goes out to all those guys who are with me and with Gazuntite day in day out.
I mean, you think about it, obviously it works. I mean, Peloton is making money hand over fist doing very similar workout styles. I think one of the things that I learned from this that I had not thought about before that I really liked, it's kind of like a real-time learning experience for new regions. Like what does it look like to lead a workout? Oh, there's different flavors, and it's not just the way things are done in Buffalo, but slightly different in Puget Sound and Greensboro and in Fort Mill. Everybody's got a different flavor, and you get to experience all of it. You're basically going around to different regions around the country virtually so that you know exactly what to do when it's time to plant your flag or when your region gets out of the cold, dark winter days. So I love that concept. I guess the last question I have for you guys is, and I think you mentioned it before, the Slack channel, but how do guys get involved? What do they need to do if they're hearing this for the first time and say, I want to get involved in a Zoom style workout? Where do they go and how do they kind of plug in?
I would jump on the F3 Nation Slack, and there is a channel called Virtual Workouts. And we've been pruning and trying to make sure that the spreadsheet that identifies all your opportunities at time is ready for you to like look at it. And then like everything F3, just send a message, right? Like make a connection and say at here. Well, maybe don't do that. Don't say at channel, that's bad, but call us out directly and just ask for help, because that's what we're here for. At Moose Jaw, at Gazuntite, and say, I'm in Central Time Zone. Well, help me through this thing. So.
And for those not watching, Gazuntite is Gazuntite. South Carolina is number 49 for education in the United States.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
I'm not arguing.
Gazuntite. Gazuntite.
If I just say at bless you, will it still find its way to you?
Maybe. Yeah, just put a message in a bottle.
Yeah, there it is. Well, fellas, I certainly appreciate it. Again, it was great timing. I do love seeing great ideas come across Slack and across Twitter. The stuff we're trying is on both outlets. Ping us with your ideas, especially these new regions. Don't underestimate your potential to have a big impact on F3 Nation just because you're a less than 1 year old region. If you're doing something that you haven't heard about yet that has great success, let us know about it. F3 is free, which means we don't pay for it. We don't own it. Therefore, it's ours to give away. So share those ideas. Fellas, thanks for carving out time. It's always trippy to talk to guys on opposite ends of the United States, living in the past and in the future. I think it's pretty cool. Tip of the cap to Zoom, right? And podcasting in general. Italian job. Anything you want to close us out with? Do what you do best.
This morning I wrote something that, once again, didn't realize it was going to tie in well, but it actually ties in pretty well. So you should always keep sharpening yourself to stay on top of your game. That's learning a new skill, continuing to work out, reading, listening, and practicing. We're talking about it right here. This is something new for a lot of guys, and it will sharpen yourself. So the statement that I would make to close it out is be a blade in a world of spoons. Sharpen yourself. Just get better, get stronger, get sharper, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, get sharper, because in a world of spoons and blunt objects, we got to be the one who cuts through the mess and makes things happen. So this is a great opportunity for those men who are listening, who want to try something new. Reach out to Moose Jaw, reach out to Gazuntite, and join that Slack channel and see you in the Zoom, right?
That's it. Fellas, thanks again. Podpaxers, don't be a spork. Stay good, be good, or be good at it. We will see you guys next week. Take care, fellas.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, guys.